took 279 days for the 1.16 RSG world record set by Brentilda back in April of 2021 to be beaten. Cube 1337X was the one to do so, and it was one of the most well-deserved and memorable world records in the category's history.
Holy fuck, dude!
6 months later, on July 27th of 2022, an unexpected video was uploaded to YouTube for a supposed 8:59 Minecraft speedrun world record. Now, right off the bat, the community immediately started picking out small pieces of evidence to shine some light on the new world record possibly being faked, from small things like movement to taking large amounts of time just to do basic actions, with possible hundreds of minuscule misplays called out from the community. They all quickly added up and put the run under serious questioning. While the run hasn't yet certainly been proven to be fake, there is a super high chance that it is, and while similar events have happened in the past, none come even close to this run, with a poor history of former speedruns, skill levels that don't really match what a world record runner should have, and even more large and small pieces of evidence makes this run one of the most controversial we've ever seen. This is the story of a runner who tried to slip through the eyes of thousands of community members, speedrunners and verifiers, and may have just been caught. Before I start, I want to assure everyone that this run hasn't been confirmed fake, just rejected to some actions the runner took when faced by the mods. The runner in question is DreamingArturz, who in this case is a very interesting runner, previously over a year ago holding the world record in half-heart hardcore and claiming it again for himself just a couple of months ago. Along with that, he's had a bit of a troubled history of runs, both his former PBs of 11:59 and 10:04 both being rejected by the leaderboard mods. The new world record has the exact same issue. While it's been rejected, it doesn't conclusively mean that the run is faked, just illegitimate, with certain proof provided to the mods and some talk going around about the possibility of a spliced video and the run being played on a set seed. Now, it is likely that this is the case, but it's just as likely that it's not the case, since like I mentioned earlier, similar events have happened before, most prevalent easily being Minsky's 1101 way back in April of 2021. That run, similar to Arturz, being rejected, with a lack of evidence to show the run's legitimacy. Before we actually talk about the lack of evidence I'm referring to, we better check out the run in question itself. So let's do just that. As Arturz, or Arturz, resetting session starts, we can immediately see something different to usual speedruns. Typically, you'll see runners playing on multiple Minecrafts, known as instances, to speed up the process of waiting for worlds to generate. Arthur, however, is only running one. In no means is this a reason for the run's legitimacy being put under question just yet, but later on, some things will start to look a little suspicious by just the single instance. Anyways, he continues resetting until he sees a beach on his world preview and decides to check the seed out. As he loads in, we can see that he's having a pretty awful time, having multiple lag spikes in a row, but again, no reason to question the run's legitimacy just yet. He lowers his render distance and performs the mapless buried treasure strategy, and as he finds the treasure, he loots it for some food, TNT, iron and gold. He crafts a pressure plate to blow up the TNT for wooden blocks, using iron for the pressure plate rather than the gold he had. Not the worst misplay, but still avoidable. He gets his wood and proceeds with crafting his tools, and then he heads off to get some flint. He has a bit of a troubled time with some sloppy flint collection, and it may sound like I'm pointing out the smallest things at the moment, but you'll begin to notice how these tiny events begin to add up over time. Finally, for the overworld, he enters the nether with a nearby lava pool, entering at a little under 140. A solid pace and good enough for world record. Things are off to a good start for Arthur. When he loads into the nether, he spawns beside the triple chest of a bridge bastion, arguably the worst bastion, but can still be done with relative ease, and was also seen in Cubes 908. His bastion looting was pretty average, to say the least. Similar to a run that actually happened very recently by Badaz, people quickly pointed out that he had pretty sloppy movement and very standard routing. And as well as that, Arthur again made small mistakes like not removing lava whilst collecting food from the hoglin and messy movement. But are you starting to pick up how over time these small and insignificant misplays are really starting to add up? Well, we don't yet have enough evidence to jump to conclusions, so let's continue breaking down the run. Arthur continued waiting for trades, hoping for 20 obsidian, heavily forcing it, so he could use one portal to exit the nether, calculate the location of the stronghold, and then go to the same coordinates divided by 8, since the nether is 8 times smaller, and boom, you're in the stronghold. But with how long Arthur spent waiting for just the remaining obsidian was almost unnecessary. But nevertheless, he was using his pie chart to pinpoint the direction of the fortress, and once he found that direction, he was out of the bastion over 2.5 minutes after entering, and making his way over to the fortress. With a few pearl throws and swift running, Arthur was entering the fortress just under 5 minutes, and while he had already spent an unreasonable amount of time in the bastion, especially for a world record run, he was still on a faster pace than Cube's world record. Despite that, Arthur made his way over to a blaze spawner where he first got 2 drops from 2 blazes, then cleared out the spawner with his remaining TNT from the buried treasure at the beginning of the run. After just a few more seconds of waiting, he had gotten his remaining blaze rods, going an insane 6 for 7 on rod drops, and then exiting the nether at 6 minutes and 18 seconds. Following this, to summarise as quickly as possible, Arthur used the Ninja Brain bot to mark down the angle of his Eyes of Ender to find a precise location of the stronghold, and coincidentally enough, the stronghold is exactly 1,000 blocks away. He travels to the nether coordinates to enter the stronghold, and with enough luck, he uses the preemptive strat to find the direction of the silverfish spawner, leading him to the portal room, and as he finds it, he fills in the end portal frames, and he's into the end at 7 minutes and 59 seconds, actually behind Cube's pace by just over 10 seconds. He runs to the center of the island, sets up his platform, crafts his explosives, and gets in position to trigger the dragon's perch. Now by this point, I'll normally start having some dramatic montage of plays throughout the run, and how DreamingArturz is the best runner I've ever seen, and have We're Finally Landing playing in the background. But to save you the irony, Arthur's dragon instantly perched after just 30 seconds in the end, and then Arthur went in for the 1 cycle and beat Minecraft in 8 minutes and 59 seconds, setting a brand new world record 6 months after the last. Once the run was uploaded to YouTube and submitted, the community almost instantly began raising suspicion about the run's total legitimacy. The first and biggest suspicion is with the full VOD recordings of his runs. He seemed to get on all his good runs almost instantly after beginning his session. Here on the screen you can see a list of how long it took Arthur to actually get on these runs. Easily the most suspicious being the fact that he pulled his world record seed in just 1 minute of resets. On top of that, he's running single instance like I mentioned earlier, which makes resetting tons harder than if he had 4 or more instances. Another suspicion, which I've noted out more than enough so far, is the lack of skill Arthur really seems to have for a world record runner. A good friend of mine, TNT Gaming, sent me a list of minuscule to large misplays that happened throughout the run, which with the 32 that was pointed out, it shows how much evidence there was behind the scenes put against Arthur. With all these suspicions being raised, the mods quickly went into extensive research on the run, and in private conversations with Arthur, for world files, possible longer recordings, and any other former PBs, seeming as there was a lack of past attempts. And when there was a brief delay of files being sent through, the mods quickly decided that with all the suspicions, lack of evidence, time spent between sending the low amounts of evidence, and overall behaviour as the community began talking about the run was declared as unverifiable and rejected from the speedrun leaderboards. Now, take this all with a grain of salt, because there's no hard evidence that the run is fake, just little pieces here and there that bring it into the light of the possibility of it being so. As well as that, Arthur hasn't acted out at the mods for the run's rejection, he's accepted it well actually, and changed the status on his run's video to explain the reasoning for its rejection, and on top of all of that, the run ended up being retimed from 8:59 to 9:01. So even if it was legit and verifiable, it still wouldn't yet be the first sub-9, just inching dangerously close to the border. Before we end off, I do need to strongly address that there is absolutely no reason for you to go and send hate to Arthur. Most runners, whether the run is fake or not, will not tolerate rude behaviour against other community members, and in the end, it achieves absolutely nothing other than guilt on your behalf. With all that being said, this is all the time I have for today. I hope you enjoyed the story of possibly one of the most interesting cases we've ever seen in the Minecraft speedrunning community to this day. Huge shout out to TNT for the immense help with this video. It literally, and I mean it, could not be done without him. So thanks so much for the help. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope I see all of you in the next video. Goodbye everyone.